we'll use AI for things like reminder notifications. So if the system starts to realize that Alex Forde cancels her appointment, at 12 hours and 1 minute before, and the cancellation window is 12 hours, well, maybe we send her notification reminder a day ahead instead of 12 hours ahead, or whatever it might be.
Hey guys, it's Shane here, and this is part 2 of my interview with Alex Forde from Pogozo. And in part 1, we covered her founder journey from physio and pharmacy into launching her own clinic and discovering the pain of running 12 different systems at once. If you missed it, there's a link in the description so you can start there. But in this second half, you can dive straight in where Alex takes us behind the scenes of how she actually built Pogozo, the features that make it a game changer, and where AI is taking practice management over the next few years. I hope you enjoyed this session.
We're servicing 2 markets, really. We're servicing our business market, so the businesses that choose to use Pogozo as their PMS, but we're also servicing their clients. So we're responsible for their clients being able to book for, easily and get those invoices easily and things like that. And so that's why we decided to build a mobile app as part of our PMS. So we have a mobile app for both the patient and for the team member of the business. But our patient app is, allows the patient to take full control over, their healthcare and what they do. So you can manage all of these settings as the business, but essentially you can hand over to the patient their ability to book an appointment, to reschedule or cancel appointment, to pay their invoices through the mobile app, to download their receipts to then go and claim by private health. They can buy their memberships through the mobile app. They can set goals through the mobile app. So, we've built in all of these features. They can link their family. So mum can manage her 2 kids through the mobile app and, not have to sign out and go into 2 or 3 different accounts to do that. It's, all in one place. So again, it's all about this making it really easy. And, I feel like I'm tooting my own horn, but again, the feedback that we're getting about that app from clients is that it is great. It is so easy. It fits into the lifestyle that they're used to. Most people use an app for their GP now and use an app for everything. So the fact that they can now use an app to book into their Pilates twice a week and book their physio means that they're, more likely to attend these appointments and book them, and it's just easy and seamless, and they're loving that on the go functionality rather than having to sit at their computer and go and make that appointment or make the phone call or whatever it might be.
Yeah, amazing. And I imagine building apps is pretty easy, right? And all this digital stuff, especially when you're from a health background.
Yeah.
I don't imagine it's been difficult at all to establish yourself in a role which isn't client-facing, which is more like a desk job, and then build a team around you in a space which you've probably never actually worked under anyone else in.
Yeah, easy peasy. Look, it's definitely been a big journey. I'm really fortunate. My business partner in Pogozo is my dad, and he's always been one of my biggest supporters. And when I wanted to do Pogozo, when I had the idea, it was between Christmas and New Year break, which I think is when a lot of physios slow down a little bit and start thinking and have space to think. And this is where kind of creativity comes in. And I went to my dad and I said to Dad, I've got a business idea. And he said, I'm in. And I said, no, I think you should actually listen to this one, because it's not just, let's throw a couple of $1,000s at something. It's going to take a while and we're going to have to commit to it and that kind of thing. And so we sat down and we chatted about it. And after about 15 minutes, he was like, I'm still in. I was like, all right, great. So I had my business partner and we happened to be going on a family holiday actually with, all the cousins and my aunts and uncles and things the week after. And Dad and I, we were at the beach, and Dad and I spent most of that beach holiday sitting at the kitchen table at the apartment on a laptop, trying to come up with a name and, Googling tech business, people who were going to build it for us and all of this kind of stuff. And we were just so excited. And so, the journey of learning how to build software. And when I say build, I am not a developer. I don't do any of the development or the coding of the software, but learning how to share my ideas with a development team and what that looks like has been a massive learning curve. And when we first started we had designers and business analysts, and we had 2 project managers on our team because we were building something really big and we had a big team and we needed all that support. Over the last 2.5 years, I have been very fortunate to be able to learn from them. And I'm now the project manager of our team and essentially the business analyst of our team. And so I've been able to develop those skills, which has been great, but it certainly has had its challenges. And I often, reflect with my current team at the moment and say, if I knew what I knew now 2.5 years ago, one, would have I done it? Yes, I certainly would have, but I would have maybe thought of it a little bit longer. But 2, I would have done it very differently. So, there's no doubt that there, was error by experimentation over the last 2 years, but it has been so much fun and I've really enjoyed it.
Do you mind if I ask, because I'm really curious about this with the idea of developers working in your business and whatnot. I don't think it's that far-fetched that people with what we would call large businesses, which is really you're above $1 million or $2 million, potentially having people with those skills in their business because there is so much tech at the front end of our operations.
Mm.
How do you, what is it? What is in that gap of the last 2.5 years that you've learned with dealing with people from, tech or digital spaces?
Yeah. Look, I think the biggest thing for me is up until the tech team that I have now, I had always hired for roles that I was capable of doing myself. So, if I was hiring a receptionist for my business or an admin team member for my business, I could do that role. I could do the role as physio. While I'm not a qualified massage therapist, I understand, what's required in that role. I know what's understand in an EP role, so it's been easy to hire in my healthcare business because I could effectively do all of the roles, so I knew exactly what I was looking for.
And people come with the credentials as well. You need that qualification.
Exactly. Yeah.
And just quickly, this is exactly what Alex and I are going deeper on in our free webinar on Thursday, September 18th. If saving 10 hours of admin a week sounds like something your clinic needs, grab the link below and register. Now back to the interview.
Whereas in this particular role, or for these roles that I'm hiring for, up in the last couple of years, I can't do it. So I haven't been able to assess people on their technical abilities. There's been a lot of, do we vibe well? Is he a nice person? Could I work with, and that kind of thing.
You can't get them in and just make them do a heavy squat and have a look at their form.
Exactly. It's how can I, test the waters here? My current senior engineer, one of the things that I loved about his resume is that he started as a psychologist, then became, I think, a geologist, and then became a software developer. And in all of that, he'd run, his own business, in one. And so I was like, you're just as crazy as I am.
Yeah.
You'll be great. So, I think that's been the hardest thing is understanding that I don't know what I'm doing. And so I've had to learn different ways of helping me find the right person. And so part of that is getting a consultant. So my first round of interviews for an in-house software developer, we hired an external consultant who was in software, and he came in as someone on our interview panel. And so he did answer most of the technical questions and was able to ask the technical questions, and and I did the other part. So we had to outsource some things that I wouldn't usually have to. But our second round of interviews, I didn't need that guy anymore because I'd learned, what questions were good to ask and what answers we were looking for. And so, I've been really fortunate that I've been surrounded by people who are happy to help me. I've sat in on every single meeting, and, meeting one, I had no idea what was going on. I didn't understand the language. I just had to pick things up and ask lots of questions. Whereas now I'm a lot more confident that I know what I'm doing. It's
kind of like a fractional board of directors type thing, isn't it? You get someone who's got that skill set and you go, right, I need you right now for this really important moment. And if we nail this, I probably don't need you again unless we have a roadblock.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, hindsight's a beautiful thing. And I think like I was saying before, if I knew what I knew now, what would I do different? I probably would have gotten a technical, maybe not a full technical leader at full time, but somebody coming in 10 hours a week to lead the technical team from inside Pogozo. So we worked with an agency for the first, big part of our build. And so the connection between the tech team and me was just me. And because I didn't know what I was doing, I was relying really heavily on them. And so having an intermediary working for both parts would have been really great. But now I can be that person. So, I've had to develop those skills, and I have, which is great. But with hiring, I still needed some help. So yeah, and I'm not afraid to ask for help. So if there's something that I, need assistance with, I'm certainly happy to put up my hand and take the help.
Here's a very loaded question. Are there skills that are transferable from the perspective of clinical reasoning skills that we apply in the health space to the reasoning and rationalization skills that you need in the tech space?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would say I don't know that my clinical reasoning skills necessarily have been something that have helped, but my people skills, the soft skills in physio that I've learned, absolutely have. So, the ability to build a relationship with somebody in 15 to 20 minutes, like you need to for an initial assessment when somebody comes in, has really helped me to be able to connect with members of my team. So, there are people in my team who've been part of my team for 2.5 years who live overseas that I have never met, but we've got a really great relationship because we've been able to build that through, small, short conversations, which is kind of what we do in physio. We're building these relationships with patients at very small, short contact periods at a time. And that's very different to working with, a colleague in a clinic where you're side by side physically in the same room for 40 hours. So I think that having those skills with patients has helped me with those skills, in our team, which has been really great. I think being a physio and owning a clinic and understanding the troubles or the things that are frustrating has certainly helped me in being able to build Pogozo and being confident to say to designers or developers, this is the way I want it done. So I, remember really distinctly talking to the designer back, when we first started a couple of years ago. And when I say remember distinctly, I can't remember the exact left or right, but remember the conversation in terms of they were like, Google places the button, let's say on the left. And they said 99% of people use Google. We should put it on the left because that's where everybody's expecting it. And I went into the system that I was using at the time and I was like, the two major physio systems put the button on the right. So I want the button on the right. And so while she was correct in that most people around the world would expect this button to be on the left, most people that we want to use Pogozo are going to expect it to be on the right. And so it was really, that really helped me be able to be like, no, I know what I'm talking about. I know who our customers are and I can build a really great product for them because I have been in their shoes. And so I think while that's not exactly a skill necessarily, it's a experience that has allowed me to build this well.
That's pretty incredible. And like through your story, you can see at every touch point, you back yourself and you go, no, I'm going to do this my way. I want to learn how to be a pharmacist. I don't just want to look at something. I want to learn it and then reapply it. Or, I want to get deep into business and get that MBA style knowledge and build my own practice. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go and learn how to build a PMS and then apply it properly in the learn by doing way.
Well, when I had the conversation with Dad that I wanted to do it and we were looking at, different companies that would help and, be an agency for us and do our building, at one point I did say to Dad, I've been doing some research. I can go and do like a master's of computer science and, maybe I can just build the thing myself. Now I look back, we've had like a team of 10 building for 2.5 years. So I am so glad I am not building this thing on my own.
Yeah, exactly.
Novice developer. So, sometimes I feel like I can learn anything and be good. So I've certainly decreased how much I have jumped into. I didn't go and do a degree to learn how to do this, which is very tame, but you're right. I love to immerse myself into understanding and learning it. And I think it's really important. If you're going to do something, you might as well do it well and learning how to do it well and asking for help and talking to people and being exposed to people in the industry who, have that experience and are happy to share it is the most easiest way to do that, I think.
Yeah, cool. because you're a tech bro in particular, I'm going to ask you a final question, which is, AI has been building itself up in this 2.5-year period as well, where those original models probably wouldn't have been very useful for you. But the kind of reasoning and stuff that is coming through now, I feel like that's going to be beginning to be embedded in systems. Where do you see the future going with that, and in the future being like 5 years' time?
Yeah, look, I don't think we currently know where the future of AI will be. Like, where we are now, if you went back 5 years and said, what are we going to be using AI for? I don't think anybody would have been able to confidently predict what we're using it for now. And so I think, predicting what's happening in 5 years is just as difficult. In saying that, I think that a lot of systems, and ours included, are going to use AI to make life easier. And there's a fine line in healthcare between that being an administrative thing and it being a like a health decision-making thing. So, our PMS at the moment, we don't have to go through the TGA. We're not a medical device. We don't need to be regulated. And a lot of the AI scribes don't have to do that at the moment either. But as soon as you start wanting to build something that's going to suggest a differential diagnosis or is going to, look at your scans and say, oh, it looks like this is a 3rd-degree tear or whatever it might be, that starts to get into the diagnosis realm, which means that it starts to become a medical device. And so I think that there are going to be a lot of people who want to go down that path because that's going to be incredibly valuable. I strongly believe that and I know I just said you can't predict 5 years, but in 10 years' time, we are going to have AI diagnosing early stage cancer and, things like that in the body. So the diagnosis is going to come, absolutely. But there are so many regulations with the TGA that need that. So for our space, for practice management space, I think it's going to be about making that automation even easier. So for example, in our system with our automated sequences and our marketing sequences, at the moment you decide, I want step 1 to be this, step 2 to be this, step 3 to be this, but I can see eventually it'll be, this is our target demographic, this is, our clientele. You can look at, all of the stuff, all of the data that we have on them, create me a sequence that is going to make them come back. And so use AI to create those sequences. So you're still using the features that we've built in Pogozo, but you're no longer having to think about the best way to reach out to that client.
And that's why Alex and I are running a free live webinar on Thursday, September 18th at 12:30 p.m. to show you exactly how to get ahead of these changes now. If you're a clinic owner who wants to cut admin, streamline systems, and prepare for the next wave of AI, don't miss it. The link's right below. Register today and bring your team along. Cheers.
We'll use AI for things like reminder notifications. So if the system starts to realize that Alex Forde cancels her appointment, at 12 hours and 1 minute before, and the cancellation window is 12 hours, well, maybe we send her notification reminder a day ahead instead of 12 hours ahead or whatever it might be. So we'll be able to use the data of how people are acting within the system and then tailor our messaging and our connection to our patients using that AI to kind of formulate those decision making in terms of communication. That's right.
It's almost like a donut analogy where like the core of health is kind of, within a space which we really don't have that much ability to insert AI into directly, but all the sequences around it, whether that's marketing or whether that's the flow of patients coming through the practice or whether that's your billings, it can be amplified by this technology.
Absolutely. And even, there are virtual receptionists, coming in and I think that's going to be the next big AI thing. Like scribes have taken over the physio community in probably the last 18 months, I would say. And so I'd say over the next 18 months, we're going to see a lot of physio clinics that have AI receptionists. So an AI bot answering the phone, booking clients in. So freeing up your receptionist to talk to the patients face to face when they're in the clinic, not sitting on the phone, taking those phone calls.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, I agree with you. It's not necessarily the physio treatment that's going to be replaced by AI, but it's everything else that the patient experiences within your business is going to be heavily influenced by AI over the next couple of years.
That sounds very exciting. It sounds like it'll be a tough period of adaptation to get onto this highway of features and whatnot, which people will have to go through, and then we'll arrive in a place where a lot of things are happening in an automated fashion around us, hopefully without us having to think and micromanage and problem solve at every single layer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's hard. I think with AI, there's still a general consensus that we need to go slow, and a lot of people are not going to be early adopters. They're going to want to sit and wait and look at what happens. But I think clinics that wait 3 to 5 years to start adopting some of these things are going to struggle to survive, because, with the introduction of AI, you can potentially see more patients, you can bill more, you can reduce maybe your admin and your support staff. And so if you're generating more income and, your physios are not having to work so hard, you're then able to retain that staff. If you're a business that doesn't have all of that to support your team, I think it's going to be, tricky to keep up. So while, I don't necessarily think that people should go and add 20 new programs to their,
exactly,
and inundate them at, once, I think everybody should be thinking about it. If you're not having demos with different AI companies and seeing what's out there and becoming very familiar with what the future is going to look like, you're going to be left behind very quickly.
Yeah, 100%. So if someone wants to learn more about Pogozo, or they're interested in switching across, what's the easiest thing for them to do?
Yeah, absolutely. So jump onto our website, so www.pogozo.com. So it's Pogozo. You can book a demo. So you can book a video chat with me. We can go through the system, have a look at how it can work for you specifically, or you can sign up for a free trial straight away and have a look. And we can do all of your data transfer for you, help you get everything set up. So it's a really smooth transition to using Pogozo. We run training sessions for your team. So we can do separate admin and clinical team training sessions, lots of kind of information out there for self-directed learning as well. So, but get in contact is the first step. We're definitely happy to hear from you.
Yeah, amazing. Having been through a PMS upgrade, not even a transition, just an upgrade, I must say it's got to be the single most, it's far more stressful than COVID. This feeling that things are turning off and turning back on again at some point, and the lead up and everything that goes with it.
Yeah.
But I feel like you guys would do an amazing job of helping people with that transition.
Yeah, look, we definitely try to. We have a new feature coming out in the next couple of weeks, actually, where for some of the software companies that people are likely to be coming across from, it'll essentially be a click of a button. So you'll be able to say, I'm coming from this software, and everything will be transferred across, essentially momentarily. So that's going to make it a lot easier, that there won't be really much setup that you'll have to do. So it's going to be nice and easy to do that migration. And then, like I said, because we're happy to do that online training with your team and answer those questions, I feel like we support our new businesses as they come across quite a bit. We do have more people joining our team so that they're able to support more businesses that come across. And I feel like, and again, I'm a little bit biased because it's my own system, but I feel like it is quite intuitive to use. So we're getting, again, lots of feedback that, I didn't really need to read the training manuals because it was pretty easy what you had to click to get to the next step. So the support is certainly there, but a lot of our businesses haven't needed it. They've been able to hit the ground running, which is great.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time and your insights today, Alex. I learned so much from talking to you. It's not funny. And this was, the back half of this was all for my own personal, it felt like professional development, how to build a tech-based company. Your journey's amazing. And I am really enjoying even just knowing you and having seen how far you've come in this very short space of time. And I can't even imagine, like you say, what this next 5-year period is going to look like. But I think what you've done with Pogozo is brilliant. I think every single practice owner has had that idea, right? That's what makes it brilliant, because everyone's had the same idea. Oh, I could just do this myself. But no one's crazy enough to actually act on that thought.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And it has been a journey, and it's been really fun sharing it with you today and sharing it with a lot of people. And you're right, a lot of people have had this idea. And so, there are some people who I feel like we've gone on this journey together because it's been something that they've, always wanted to do as well. So it's been great catching up today. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the next couple of conferences as well.
Awesome, Alex. And thanks everyone for watching today's episode. I'll put some details in the show notes, so that will give you the links to Pogozo and the contact details for Alex if you do want to ask her any questions. and I hope to see you guys in the next episode. That wraps up part B of my conversation with Alex Forde. And if you found this helpful, please hit like and subscribe, where you'll get more founder-led stories and clinic insights just like this. Now, if you do want to go a bit deeper, check out the links below for ways to connect with me and the People community, where we meet monthly and talk about our challenges, our goals, our wins, and our frustrations. Hope to see you in the next video.